Good morning, guys. Stopped to get something quick, a couple sandwiches from McDonald's. As people wanted a treat in the family. We haven't been doing anything like this. We either cook breakfast or grab a bowl of cereal or something like that. But this morning we had some sour milk, so let's just grab a couple sandwiches from McDonald's real quick before we head out for the weekend. One of the things that I've been seeing lately is a lot of user error when it comes to people's vehicles. A couple weeks ago, people got offended. There was a couple people that really got offended. They had their feelings all over the table, man. It seems like people just completely lose control sometimes when you talk about something that they may be doing. That's how you can catch somebody in a story or a lie, or that's how you can... somebody's basically admitting that they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing based on how they react. And I have been doing social media long enough now to where I can pick up on that when people get emotional based on something I'm talking about. And it's pretty comical because they'll flip out in the comment section, and then they'll try to argue with you and do all this other stuff, and you're like, I know exactly why they're acting that way. It's because they're doing exactly what I'm talking about. And I had brought up, a customer bought a vehicle from us, 4 or 5 months prior, and they wanted to see if they can make the AC a little bit cooler. And they kept charging the system, and they overcharged the system by 19 ounces. It's a 41-ounce system that ended up, when I pulled the refrigerant and stuff down, it had like 62, 63 ounces. And the reason I say that is I pulled out 60, but the lines themselves hold about 2.3 ounces. And right at the end, after everything was evacuated, I pulled an additional 2.3 ounces or so out of the line. So the system was overcharged by 20 ounces. And I had a few comments in the comment section where people got emotional and was like, you're making fun of your customer. No, I'm not. It's the customer states the AC just doesn't blow as cold anymore. Let's figure out what's going on, and they show you what's going on. I don't make fun of the customers. I don't do any of that stuff at all. I don't make fun of the customers. I don't do any of that stuff. I just tell you guys stories about what happened. Every once in a while I might make a funny or something like that, but y'all need to relax a little bit with your whole feelings. For one, I don't care that I really hurt your feelings. That's not my intention. But if your feelings get hurt from one of my stories that I tell, well, that's your own damn problem. It ain't my problem. I'm just telling a story. So, anyhow, another customer, a couple days later, same thing happens. Overcharge the system. The system's it's not functioning properly. There's too much refrigerant. The system can't operate efficiently. And then again last night. This has been happening quite a bit for the last few months, that things like this, of this nature, where it's been user error, customer error. They've been their own worst enemy when it comes to AC systems. 2007 F-150 comes in, and the customer says, why is my AC not working on my truck? Well, I get the truck into the shop, I do the basic checks, I go through the system, look for like rocks and stuff embedding in the AC condenser. I look for any kind of oil, like wet spots around the AC system, the joint, the connectors and stuff like that. I don't see anything, and I pull the high side port cap off of the charge line, and all of a sudden I'm hearing, it's not just a little tss, it's moving, it's coming out. So that Schrader valve is not doing its job. It's not seating anymore. O-rings probably deteriorated or something like that. So deteriorated, and it just can't seal anymore. So what ends up happening is exactly this. They start losing AC. It starts getting warmer and warmer and warmer. They put more and more and more in it, more and more in it, and they don't realize that they're overcharging the system. They end up overcharging the system. They overload the compressor, and it smokes the clutch inside that thing. It just has to try so hard. The pressure's increasing and stuff like that. The clutch gets smoked. And eventually, especially on older rusty vehicles, you'll burn that clutch right up on that compressor, because there's just no integrity anymore. There's nothing to hold it together, And that's exactly what happened with this. I noticed the high side pressure line, or the high side line, was leaking. Then I pull all the AC out of it. It's supposed to have about 34 ounces of refrigerant. it's got 54 ounces or 53 ounces of refrigerant. Actually, no, because the line still holds about 2 ounces. I didn't evacuate until after, and again, it pulls out about 2.1 to 2.4 ounces out of the lines. So this thing, it was overcharged by almost 20 ounces, 20 or so ounces. They smoked the clutch on the compressor. It's a $510 compressor, and that's at list price. That's for warranty, list price. It's not a markup or anything like that, just straight warranty list price was $510, and it would take 3 days to get it out of Detroit. And then you're talking about an hour diag, which I didn't have an hour diag down there. I rolled all that into my actual feed, and it's like, it says it's like 2.4 hours to dig that compressor and stuff out of there, get it off the block. And then you have to worry about, especially on them old 5.4s and 4.6s from the mid-2000s, you go taking them, the bolts out of the block that go through the compressor, they're like so long, they will corrode and rot out inside that block. And you'll have to literally cut the heads off of them, slide the compressor off, some cut the bolts off, leaving some of it out, get the compressor out of there, and then use extractors and heat and everything else to get them bolts out of the block. I mean, it could turn into it can easily turn into a $1,100 to $1,300 repair by the time it's all said and done, with refrigerant and labor just to get everything back on board, all because somebody had a little $15 Schrader valve leak that just kept adding and adding and adding refrigerant to the system that smoked the clutch. The compressor itself is not worth rebuilding, and all this time and labor and stuff later, all because of a little $15 Schrader valve, when somebody could have did some basic diagnosis. Somebody could have did some basic diagnosis and saved themselves a ton of money, but they didn't. Customers can be their own worst enemy. We don't mind picking up the pieces, but you shouldn't mind paying a premium to have it fixed. That's why they always say take it to the professionals first. Y'all be blessed.
So sometimes when you pull these connections, you'll hear like a hiss pop sound, or like something coming out of it. So I definitely heard something right there. It was like just real lightly. You probably couldn't pick up on camera because of all the noise in the background. So that, I'm going to spray that with soap, and then I'll pull the low side here, spray that with soap. I just want to, bingo.
That's one of them.
Spray the low side as well.
I'm seeing more and more.
Yeah, lately it's been the damn high side. I just replaced them both because I don't know when the other one's gonna go. But it doesn't look like the low side is leaking. No. It's the high side. Okay.
Yeah, you'd be emptying it.
So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and evacuate the system just to make sure nothing else is leaking other than that, and then I'll go replace I'll actually price out the high side and low side Schrader valves. Typically with these lately, just like the other tech that was in the video, you hear his voice. Same thing. We've been seeing a lot of these where these Schrader valves are just no good. You know, they're old, whatever. This is a 2007, so it's expected. But anyway, let me get this evacuated, make sure nothing else is leaking, and so the clutch is bad.